what's up everyone? Today I'm going to be covering AI. I'm going to talk about what AI is, the different types of AI, and what are the key industry players of the AI industry. So for starters, there's three types of AI in general. There's a narrow AI, there's general AI, and super AI. General AI and super AI, we're not there yet. They don't exist. Right now, we're in narrow AI. And narrow, essentially narrow use case AI. For instance, generative AI is a narrow AI because generative AI essentially uses NLP or natural language processing to read text, to read images and faces, and then generate that through generative AI as content, as images. That's narrow AI. Another example is the automated plant of Volkswagen using AI to automate all these car assembly, the car assembly line. Another example is, for instance, the autonomous vehicle. It's essentially focused on making the car write autonomously. It won't write you a poem. It won't create you an image of a duck with in a crossbreed with a cat. Like it can't do that, right? So that's where general AI comes in. General AI will have the ability to essentially, if we create a robot that has a humanoid robot, which we're not that far away, if you take a look what Boston Scientific is doing at MIT, that robot, through general AI, that humanoid robot will be able to cook, will be able to make you images, it will be able to write you poems, it'll be able to drive, because it will be able to do all these different things in a general sense and essentially become way more human and make assumptions. And to give you an example, if it learns about geometry and then it starts observing the stock market and it realizes, hey, look, I'm noticing these patterns that I learned in geometry training, and it's going to start making assumptions. So that's where general AI comes in, when the level of understanding of AI models reaches our level of understanding. And I think the most interesting part is, like I said, is when it takes knowledge from one domain and transfers it to another. That's when it starts making assumptions and create its own kind of thing. It's going to be able to learn by itself. If it falls, it's going to stand up and realize, hey, look, I realized that if I walk this way or through that way, I'm going to fall, so I'm going to avoid that route. And then it start making assumptions about that experience. So kind of have more of a metacognition above what it's already doing, which is really interesting. Now, the third level of magnitude is super AI, and this is the third wave. And this is essentially a level of intelligence that's gonna surpass us humans and general AI, of course. And this is going to be essentially a machine or a model that's going to be so smart that it's going to be able to solve the problems that we haven't been able to solve. Like, how are we going to survive after the sun explodes? How do we make interstellar travel faster? Is it possible to warp space and time to, go through a wormhole? I mean, these are all theoretical questions that super AI is going to be able to answer. And to give you a use case or an example, perhaps in the future, and we're going to be able to live in a utopian future where perhaps instead of presidents, we're going to have a super AI. It's going to ensure that the economy is in balance, that the law is adhered to, and that there's a perfect allocation of resources. That's kind of what the use case of super AI could be in the future. So these are the main types of AI in broad strokes. So I'm going to cover some of the accelerated pace at which AI is growing. This interesting article. The AI applications, for instance, ChatGPT grew to 100 million monthly users in 2 months, while Uber, it took them 70 months. So with each new application, as time goes by, the adoption curve gets steeper and steeper and steeper. So it becomes exponential. I mean, if you look in a chart how ChatGPT was adopted, it just looks, it's a 90-degree angle line that, there's no exponential anymore. It's just 90, it goes vertical, which is pretty crazy. And this is kind of what the curve looks like for AI adoption. I mean, this is the internet, smartphones, and kind of what the AI adoption curve looks like. So way, way steeper than previous technologies. And obviously, there's also an efficiency being trickled down into the system. I mean, coding has become faster. So according to these metrics, using the GitHub Copilot, 55% time is saved by developers. So it creates an efficiency already. And in Runway, there's a 90% time saved by editing videos by using AI. So it's essentially creating efficiencies and productivity gains already in the day-to-day tasks, which makes it an incredible tool to not just boost the economy, but boost individual productivity and essentially allow us to focus on more important things in our day-to-day basis. That's kind of what AI is doing right now. I mean, right now it's perhaps not felt in the economy, but eventually the productivity gains of AI are going to be felt in the economy, and we're going to be at a way better place than we are right now. And this is kind of how design has evolved. So it used to be analog. It used to have to write it down and make these sketches, and then it became digital, and it took a couple of weeks to make designs. And then it took days with cloud because there was collaboration. You had more people involved. And now with AI, you can just type a prompt like, "Hey, I want a landing page with these colors uh, about a financial company." And you got the landing page in a matter of seconds. If it's insane. Just the time to design is become instant. Like if you want it, you got it right there. So that's kind of the accelerated productivity gains that we're looking at through the use of AI. So these are some of the metrics that we have. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of cross pollination between talent of different companies. I mean, there's Google, DeepMind, there's Anthropic, there's OpenAI, and these this talent has been kind of like cross pollinating across these different competitors, which is really interesting. So right now where we are in terms of AI development is kind of like the base layer of the pyramid. We're in the foundational kind of plumbing system architecture. We're building the main models that are going to be used for future applications. And I think the next wave in the next 2 to 5 years is going to be essentially application specific AI. There's going to be an application specific AI for medicine, for finance, for law. Why? Because we need, for instance, if you're operating in a really regulated industry like medicine, you're going to need a model that can't fuck up. I mean, your margin of error is going to be really small. So you need to have a model that's really well trained and has all these safety parameters in place so that it doesn't kill a person if it's performing a surgery, right? So, and for finance, it's going to be a different ballgame, right? So you're going to have to tailor or fine tune that specific model for that specific use case. And I think that is essentially the future for the AI industry in the next 2 to 5 years before we arrive at general AI, which is going to be, I think, in the next 10 years or 8 years. It's going to take perhaps more time because the chips are not as fast as we want them to be, and there's not enough demand. So I'm going to cover as well some of the industry players and kind of how it looks like right now. So right now, the way the industry is assembled is essentially there's all these big players. There's Meta, there's Amazon, there's Google. They're all kind of like these big players dumping billions and billions of dollars into the industry and into developing new models. Then there's these smaller players. There's Mistral, there's Claude, there's ChatGPT, and all these kind of smaller players that are kind of competing to make the next product in AI, and that's going to make a magnitude of difference in terms of how we live in a day-to-day basis. So they're all competing, and it's kind of collaborative approach as well. I mean, if you see how Microsoft bought a big portion of OpenAI and how Apple is collaborating with Gemini, so it's kind of a collaboration, but that's kind of how it looks like right now. And I'm going to cover some of the interesting companies that could be worth taking a look at for investment. So NVIDIA is obviously the favorite one. It's the classic one. It's the plain flavor of the day stock for investing in AI. I mean, it's up 208,000% since inception. Probably doesn't have a ton of gain there, but it's something worth looking at because NVIDIA has a foot in the software space because it provides software, AI software, but it also provides infrastructure. It's making the microchips and essentially helping build that foundation hardware for the rest of the models. So that's kind of NVIDIA is a kind of both a software and a hardware AI play. And now we have Broadcom. Broadcom is more specific on hardware because they help with the chip manufacturing. So Broadcom has been here for a while. I mean, it's up 10,000% since it went public, which is pretty crazy as well. It's a more hardware tilted stock where you have more exposure towards manufacturing of these chip and this infrastructure. So is Taiwan Semiconductors. I mean, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is a really famous company that's in charge of manufacturing the wafers for the microchip. So really interesting company that is focused more on the hardware space, and it's up 3,000% since it went public. Worth taking a look. Now I'm going to take a look on more pure software plays, and that's going to be with C3 AI. And C3 AI is essentially a purely a software company that's focused on providing application-specific solutions for B2B for the B2B players out there, and essentially it kind of tailors an AI solution for finance, for medicine, for law. So it kind of focuses on specific players, and it's a pure software play. It's down 72% since it went public. So you could say it's undervalued, or you could say it's underperforming. There's different theses out there about this stock, and it's definitely worth taking a look. Another stock is Palantir, co-founded by Peter Thiel, the co-founder of the fintech PayPal. Now, Palantir essentially has government contracts, and now it's expanding into the B2B space as well. So also a pure software play company that's focused on AI solutions. Another one, which is really interesting to me, is Upstart Holdings. Upstart Holdings, essentially fintech that helps pair people who need a loan with credit providers. So essentially has this smart AI model that matches the right loan for a specific individual. And that is a great example of application specific AI in a specific industry like the financial industry, which is pretty cool, in my opinion. And that is kind of what's going on right now in AI. Feel free to ask any question in the comments below, and stay tuned to more videos like this and industry updates. Thank you.